"You'd be better off talking to my baby," said Kenny Dalglish to Alex Ferguson. For decades, football fans thought they witnessed one of the most bitter rivalries in the sport's history. But now, at 74, Kenny Dalglish has finally confirmed what many suspected all along. Behind the public war of words and fierce competition lay a deep friendship built on mutual respect. That famous moment came after a thrilling 3-3 draw at Anfield on April 4th, 1988. Ferguson had just launched into an extraordinary anti-Liverpool rant, claiming managers had to leave Anfield choking on their own vomit, afraid to tell the truth. As Ferguson fumed into a live radio microphone, Dalglish walked past, cradling his newborn daughter Lauren. With perfect timing and calm composure, he delivered that cutting response that would define their public rivalry for years. But this single moment of psychological warfare masks a much deeper truth. Ferguson's rant was pure emotion and frustration. Dalglish's reply was calculated and brilliant, yet beneath the surface, both men understood they were pushing each other to greatness. Their story actually began decades earlier in Glasgow. In 1969, an 18-year-old Kenny Dalglish faced off against the much older Alex Ferguson in a brutal Scottish Reserve League match. The young Celtic forward was tasked with man-marking the Rangers striker. Dalglish, already showing his cutting wit, later recalled turning out his tracksuit pocket to show he had Ferguson in it. Ferguson warned the teenager he'd need a doctor, then promptly scored. Despite the fierce contest, Dalglish maintained Celtic won 2-0. What many don't know is that Ferguson initially dismissed the plump wee Dalglish boy as unlikely to become a professional footballer. This early misjudgment would haunt Ferguson as Dalglish matured into one of football's greatest talents. The relationship could have been a mentorship that never was, transitioning from underestimation to professional challenge. If you're enjoying these behind-the-scenes stories about football's greatest rivalry, make sure to subscribe and let me know in the comments which other football friendships you'd like to hear about. There are so many incredible bonds in the beautiful game that go unnoticed by the public. Their first major clash came in 1980 when Ferguson's Aberdeen faced Dalglish's mighty Liverpool in the European Cup. The result was brutal for Ferguson, a 4-0 demolition at Anfield, with Dalglish scoring once. Ferguson always returned to this memory as a stark reminder of Liverpool's power. It was his first glimpse of the mountain he'd need to climb. This brings us to the context that made their rivalry so intense. Liverpool in the 1980s were untouchable. From 1980 until Dalglish's first departure in 1991, they won 5 league titles and 2 FA Cups. They represented everything Manchester United aspired to be. The historical antagonism between Liverpool and Manchester stretched back to the Industrial Revolution, fueled by economic competition and the Manchester Ship Canal dispute. Manchester United were mockingly called the Glams by Liverpool fans. They had glamour and media attention, but lacked Liverpool's professional, workmanlike success. This imbalance drove Ferguson to make his famous declaration about knocking Liverpool off their perch. The perch represented Liverpool's complete dominance in every aspect, something Ferguson experienced firsthand and was determined to reverse. The battle extended beyond the pitch into the transfer market. In 1992, Dalglish's Blackburn beat United to Alan Shearer's signature. Ferguson was furious, viewing this as a rare failure that damaged his ego and long-term dynasty plans. Shearer's choice validated Dalglish's ambition and signalled that a new challenger with serious financial backing had entered the fray. Ferguson's revenge came the following year with Roy Keane. The Nottingham Forest midfielder had already shaken hands with Dalglish and agreed to join Blackburn for a record £400,000 per year. But Ferguson learned of the deal and acted swiftly. He tracked down Keane's home number in Cork and convinced him to visit his house. Keane was charmed by Ferguson's vision and a game of snooker, ultimately signing for United for a British record £3.75 million. Dalglish was reportedly fuming, but later joked about threatening to find Keane on holiday in Cyprus. The sequence of these transfers shows cause and effect perfectly. Losing Shearer likely fueled Ferguson's relentless determination to win the battle for Keane. The Keane signing proved crucial to Ferguson's dynasty building. Keane became the on-field catalyst for United's dominance, his leadership unparalleled. While Dalglish's Blackburn won the Premier League the following season without Keane, the long-term power shift was undeniable. That 1994-95 season provided the rivalry's dramatic climax. Dalglish's team, built around Shearer, competed directly with Ferguson's United for the title. Ferguson attempted psychological warfare, suggesting Blackburn might do a Devon lock, referencing a horse that fell before the finish line in the 1956 Grand National. Dalglish, unaware of the reference, didn't engage with the mind games. His quiet nature served as a shield against Ferguson's provocations. The title race went to the final day. Blackburn needed a win to guarantee the championship, but lost to Liverpool. However, United could only draw with West Ham, handing Dalglish the title. This victory was a profound psychological defeat for Ferguson. It denied him a third consecutive title and proved his perch could be taken by a direct rival. Ferguson publicly dismissed this setback, but privately stewed over it for a long time. Their contrasting management styles defined the rivalry. Ferguson was tough and autocratic, demanding respect through his famous hairdryer treatment. He mastered handling big egos like Eric Cantona and Roy Keane, balancing control with autonomy. He built a global brand by nurturing young talent, trusting the class of '92 to uphold United's legacy. Ferguson was a visionary who created a dynasty that redefined success in the modern era. Dalglish represented a different philosophy. As a player-manager, he led by example, embodying Liverpool's professional, workmanlike ethos. His approach was reserved, showing disdain for Ferguson's theatrical press conferences. He was deeply loyal and protective, especially after Hillsborough, where his quiet strength forged unshakable bonds with players and community. When Dalglish called his privately owned Blackburn the People's Champions in 1995, it was a direct jab at United's publicly traded global club status. Ferguson was the public-facing, aggressive leader who demanded respect. Dalglish was the quiet, private leader who earned loyalty. Their public personas were performance, but their private bond was that of two men who understood the unique pressures of their profession. But here's where the real story emerges. Despite their public antagonism, Ferguson and Dalglish maintained a private ritual that reveals everything about their true relationship. After every game they faced each other, regardless of the result, they would have a drink together. They carefully avoided discussing the match to prevent arguments. This simple tradition revealed a personal connection that transcended professional rivalry. When Dalglish returned to manage Liverpool in 2011, Ferguson was surprised. He still wanted to continue their post-match drinks, as many other managers had stopped this practice. This ritual spoke to their deep shared experience at football's highest level. It showed a bond that went beyond the professional rivalry and reflected a genuine understanding of each other's immense pressures. The respect extended to public and private support throughout their careers. When Ferguson faced severe pressure in his early United days, Dalglish publicly backed his counterpart. Ferguson's physiotherapist later said this was something the gaffer desperately needed during those difficult times. For decades, they exchanged congratulatory messages that showed their mutual admiration. Ferguson wrote the foreword for Dalglish's first autobiography and sent letters and texts after major successes, including Liverpool's 2020 Premier League title win. Dalglish reciprocated when United passed Liverpool's record to win their 19th league title. In retirement, they've appeared together at public events, proving their rivalry was never personal hatred. Ferguson was a guest when Anfield's centenary stand was renamed in Dalglish's honour. Dalglish attended the funeral of United legend Dennis Law, showing respect for the club's history. This evolution humanises their rivalry, proving their public personas were performance, while their private bond reflected genuine understanding of each other's sacrifices and achievements. The evidence of their friendship extends to small personal gestures that fans rarely saw. They would exchange congratulatory texts after major victories, with Ferguson even sending supportive messages during difficult periods in Dalglish's career. When Liverpool finally won the Premier League in 2020, ending their 30-year wait, Ferguson was among the first to congratulate Dalglish. The message reportedly read that they were rivals but not at war, confirming what both men had always known privately. Dalglish himself has confirmed their rivalry was never a war. At 74, he's put to rest decades of speculation about their relationship. Behind the fierce competition and media battles lay two men who understood the unique pressures of their profession better than anyone else could. Their shared Scottish roots created a bond that transcended club loyalties and professional ambition. Their rivalry transformed a historic regional dispute into a global sporting spectacle. They didn't just manage teams, they shaped English football's very fabric. Dalglish, the King of Anfield, led Liverpool through triumph and tragedy, guiding the club through its golden era with dignity and class. Ferguson systematically rebuilt United into an unstoppable force, surpassing Liverpool's records and redefining modern success through relentless determination and tactical brilliance. The rivalry they created became self-sustaining, inspiring future generations of players and managers. But its true roots trace back to these two Glaswegian giants who respected each other's dedication to excellence. Their lasting impact isn't measured only in trophies and records, but in how they elevated English football to new heights. Their intense competition, forged from shared Scottish roots, turned a regional derby into a global fixture by which all other rivalries are judged. It was a rivalry built on respect, fury, and relentless desire to be the best. The psychological battles, transfer wars, and public exchanges were all part of a greater pursuit of footballing perfection. Now we know the complete truth. Behind the public battles and cutting remarks lay a friendship that has endured for decades. Kenny Dalglish, at 74, has finally confirmed what their closest associates always knew. The greatest rivalry in football history was also one of its greatest friendships, proving that competition and camaraderie can coexist at the highest level.